It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
Put your finger down if after about 4 months of having a child with somebody, you find text messages of your baby daddy trying to sleep with his cousin. They have the same last name. They have the same grandparents because their parents are brothers. And then you find out that this isn't the first time. It's like the third or fourth time. And that he's actually been bothering her since she was 10 and he was 15. The same day that you find out that he's cheating on you with his cousin and sending inappropriate messages to her, you find out that he's married to his stepsister. But they swear that it wasn't sexual, that he was in the Marines, so they did it for money. That's like the least of your problems, so you don't really, you question it, but you know there's other things to talk about. You end up finding out eventually that he was molesting cousins and foster kids who were boys half his age. And you have a son with this person. So you start to lose your mind. You get gaslit by his mom until she tells you that if you don't let it go, that you guys won't be able to move forward. You guys end up breaking up. You get in a fist fight with his sister because she doesn't want to hear about all the things that her brother has done to her cousins and the foster kids, even though they're boys and girls. And they're a lot younger than him. You told his dad. And so his dad goes and talks. His dad and stepmom go and talk to their stepdaughter, the one he married. And she starts crying when she hears about everybody else. You ask her why she was crying. And then she admits to you that they've been in like an on and off relationship for like almost 10 years. And then it clicks. And you just decide that your son can't be alone with somebody like this. And you ask for supervised visits. And he thinks that you're upset that he's was in a relationship with the stepsister. He doesn't understand that he needs help. And you're trying to tell him that he needs help. And he tells everybody that you're a bitter ex-girlfriend and you're upset that you're not with him anymore. You end up telling him that you want full custody of your son. So he lawyers up. You guys go to court. The judge makes you give your baby. And you try to tell the judge everything you know. You try to show her the texts of him admitting what he's done. Nobody listens. He goes with his dad that weekend. And a few days later, he has to go back for a 4-hour visit. When he comes back for the 4-hour visit, he won't stop crying. The next day, you take him to the ER. And you spend his first birthday in the ER. And you find out that he has a cut on his penis. It's been about a year and a half, and you still don't know what happened to your son. Nobody would listen to you. You guys had to pay for a private screener. And she says that your son is safe and that he can go back with his dad. So now you have to co-parent with somebody that's been molesting kids his whole life. I mean, he did stop when he was 18, but then he just started having sex with his cousin and his stepsister. And now this is who you're co-parenting with.
I'm gonna start this video now with where we started going to court, how we got to court, and where we are now, how everything has happened. Because a lot of you guys think that I didn't go to the police. A lot of you guys are saying things that I didn't do. So I'm gonna let you guys know how I got failed from the beginning to now. Also, there are victims in this case, and I'm not gonna disclose their names. I did get an angry text from one person upset that I mentioned somebody as part of my story. I'm not meaning to hurt anybody while I say my story, but people lied to me too. And I didn't know things, and it looks crazy. Like, how does she not know that? But I was lied to, and this was kept a secret from me for a long time. And for the family members, the cousin that this happened with, I never met her before until I was pregnant. I met her one time. I think twice, actually. No, one time. I met her one time when I was pregnant. And then after I had my baby, no, I met her twice while I was pregnant. But nobody ever introduced me to her. He didn't introduce me to her until after, when my son was born. So no, these people weren't just around. Nobody told me anything weird. My mom went to school with his mom. There are family members that know each other, like, because our families are from the same city, and people know each other, but no one ever told me that he was weird. I never heard any of this stuff. And some people feel guilty for introducing me to this person when they didn't know. And if they would have known, I had 2 daughters. I would have never been there. He would have never been around my kids. I met him during COVID, and we were together like nonstop. And I met him during COVID, and I got pregnant like a year later. I know, kind of quick. A year later. But like I've said, we have mutual, like our family knows each other. So I've been to parties where he's been, and nobody ever said anything, like, at all. And so anyways, what was I saying? I got pregnant after a year, and I found out when my son was 4 months. So this was not a one-night stand or anything like that. I was around his whole family, and, well, most of his family. Everybody knew me. His grandma used to watch my daughters. Like, you guys, I think you guys think that I just met this person and, like, had this relationship with him, like, one night, and then, like, I didn't know anything. Yeah, I didn't know anything that he was doing, like, illegal, but I knew him. And I want to correct myself that I went through his Apple Watch, and I seen this. So there was nothing on his computer. There was nothing on his phone. It was his Apple Watch. For some reason one day, because there was something that I was questioning, like something was making me feel weird. And so I went through his phone, and I felt like, girl, why are you going to read messages with his cousin? And thank God, this is the biggest blessing in disguise, because if I didn't know who he was, the true him, my daughters would be in danger. And I have 2 daughters. So if he has no limits to who he does things to or with, then how, like, you hear those stories of people and they grow up with like people doing things to their daughters or their cousins or whatever. Like, what if that happened to me? So this is the biggest blessing in disguise. Me going through his phone or Apple Watch, like, I felt crazy. Like, girl, what is wrong with you? Like, why do you have to do this? But he, honestly, at the time, he was tripping so hard off of me, and I didn't understand why. And this is why. I also want to add that people are upset that I did put a finger down, like I made this a trend. Would you be listening to me? Would you have heard of this and everything that I'm about to tell you if I didn't? So yeah, it's a shitty way to like say what I've been through, but nobody was listening. And honestly, if it wasn't for that video that I posted, there are family members that were around him, that had kids around him, that are barely hearing this because I've stayed quiet. I went to court. I removed all his family from my Instagram. I just didn't trust nobody. And I've been fighting this fight in silence. So it is a good thing that I did this. So I was already doing supervised visits, and I told him that I wanted full custody of my son, and he disappeared, and I didn't hear from him. And I was like, I got scared, and I was like, something's gonna freaking happen to me. Like, this guy freaking hates me now. And I was like, I'm not safe. So I went and I told the police officers everything that I knew, everything that happened to me and everything that I knew. And I got an emergency protection order. And I didn't know that while I was doing that, he had already filed and got a lawyer, and a judge had already approved whatever he had filed. We ended up going to court. She denied my packet. And so when we got there was a bunch of people in the courtroom, and I'm just one of I don't know how many cases she sees a day. So she calls us up not knowing anything. I guess she didn't read it, because I had to like tell her like, I put that in there, and she was like going back, and I got kind of mad because I was just like, I know I'm just somebody, but like to her, like I'm another person in the court, but like, isn't that their job to go over the cases, especially if you're in family court? Shouldn't you denied my packet and you don't even know what you denied? So that was upsetting. And she was like, when I started talking, because she was like, okay, like you guys just need to share a visitation, blah, blah. And I was like, no, like we need to talk about this. And she forced me to do visitation and was like, I have a lot of people in my courtroom today, like I cannot listen to all this, like blah blah blah. And I tried to show her the text messages. His lawyer was like so annoyed by me. I don't think he disclosed anything to him. So when I started talking, that guy looked mad as hell, and he was so rude. And I was like crying, and he looked at the text messages, he gave them to the judge, and she was like, like I'm there's a lot of other people here. And I'm like in my head like I don't care. And I'm like looking at her. So I got mad, and before I walked out I was like, I want you and Santa Clara County to know that I'm holding you guys responsible, and that if anything happens to my son, that I am holding you guys accountable, because you're forcing me to give him after I've just disclosed all this information to you. And I had like a whole binder and like everything ready. Like I put everything together for them. It should have been freaking easy. And I started crying, and I was like hyperventilating, and I was like, my cousins were like, it's okay. And I was like, no, like they were like this is just the beginning. And so he went with him that weekend, and I set it up to where if I had work, he had him, and that was it. So I went to work, and then that was Wednesday, he needed to go with him for a 4-hour visit. And then he came back just screaming. And my daughters were like, because my son is a happy baby. He is happy. And, we found out that he is autistic, and he has I don't know if he's nonverbal, because he's starting to talk like if you would consider it, but he has a very bad speech delay. And he's like he says eat and that's it, or like he doesn't call me mom. Like anyways, that's a whole nother thing. But he is not where he should be, and he's 2 years old, almost 2.5. And anyways, so he went with him and was just screaming. And so the next day I took him to the emergency room, and we noticed that like it's really red down there. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, what the heck? Why does it look like that? Like, I know this is my first son, but I have a lot of cousins. I'm like the oldest. I babysitted. Like, I've never heard my friends talk about this stuff. Like, this happening to my friends. Like, I've never heard of this. So I'm like freaking out. And then he does the right thing. He calls CPS. He tells me, like he's going to do the right things because he's not sure what's going on here. They prescribed me some fungal cream. It did not work. I had a follow-up appointment, but that day they told me, go home because CPS is going to contact you. CPS called me and told me to go home, and that they would be there soon. And that they could. So then we meet at my house, and he talks to me and my daughters, and he says, I tell him like what's going on, and he says that he needs to like follow up, and that he cannot get in between any court orders. So if my son, because it's his birthday, if it's court ordered for him to see his dad, I still need to follow through with that. I'm freaking crying, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why do I have to send my baby back there? And he says, if I keep saying things that are not true, that I'm going to get in trouble. And I was like, what am I saying? All I'm saying is that my son came home like this, and he's screaming, and I don't know why. And he won't stop crying. I had a follow-up appointment. They gave us some cut cream. The doctor, like, she is so annoying. She was like, maybe he scraped it when he was taking off his shoe, like, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I started flipping out, like, afterwards. Like, I called and I was so upset, and I told my cousin, like, I have never heard, like, she said, what if he got, like, so happy that he ripped his own skin? And I was like, what? Like, and she was like, maybe he messed with it in the bathtub. And I was like, you didn't even ask me if he noticed it. Like, he's barely 1. And, you know, like, I saw, like, warnings, like, signals that he was autistic, like, he was showing symptoms. So I was like, dude, like, this isn't, like, I don't know, but I was just like, you don't make sense. And I told her, do the right thing, because she was like, well, do you want me to call CPS? And I was like, no, because CPS said that the doctor needs to be the one to give them a call. If I'm the one that says to give them a call, that the doctor needs to say it, not me. And I was like, no. And she was like, well, I don't know. And I was like, then do the right thing and say that you don't know. Don't say whatever you're saying, just do the right thing. And I ended up leaving, and I had to make another appointment with my doctor, and he gave him, like, cut cream. And my doctor was like, that was ridiculously. And I was like, yeah, well, that's your coworker, that's a fellow colleague doctor of yours. But I had to let him go, and I was, like, so upset. And then because he didn't follow some of the judge's orders, the DA put out a warrant for him. And because of that, it triggered them to investigate the DV against me. And when he ended up getting, a couple months later, he ended up getting, you know, he texted me saying, like, good luck with the rent, because I had moved and from, like, a cheaper place to, like, a place, like, for all of us. And he was like, good luck with the rent. And his stepmom and my mom talked, and they all agreed that even though we were splitting up, that he was going to pay his portion of the rent still, and blah, 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 blah. Well, he was like, good luck with the rent. And I was like, bro, like, I cannot afford that. Like, I have my car payment's really high. Like, I can't afford all this by myself. He did not care. And he was like, you need to get your own phone, because I was on the phone line with him. He was like, I'm canceling your phone line. I'm going to cancel the cable. I'm going to cancel the PG&E, like, everything. And I was like, what the heck? Like, and I was like, whatever. And then a month, and that was, like, really stressful. And so then the next month, I picked up my son, and he had the burn on his face, and he also came home sick, like, throwing up, diarrheaing. Like, it was so bad. Like, it was the most horrible thing. We all got sick, and we all lost weight. He lost weight. So when I filed for emergency custody, because I was like, oh, heck nah, like, you're not telling me why my baby looks like he got a cigarette burn on his face. Like, we're not doing that. And I filed, and when it was his day and I wouldn't give my son to him, he called the cops on me. And so the cops met me at Starbucks, and they wanted to see my son, and I showed them how sick he was. Like, he was just sleeping. He looked so lethargic. Like, it was so sad. And I showed them the burn. I was like, you know, I'm filing for emergency custody. It was like 4th of July. So I was like, you know, it's the holiday. So, like, next week I'm going, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay. And they let me go. They didn't make me give him. And he was so mad. And then I filed, and I got approved. Like, I got emergency custody. So when we showed up to court, his lawyers, I don't know if it was that time, but the judge, like, oh yeah, so the lawyers, like, try to send some video over from March earlier that year. So it's July, and they're trying to show him something from March. Back up for a second, because when I went to the court the first time, I told her, I was like, well, he makes these weird comments about my son. And I was like, when I was pregnant, he said that he wanted to do circumcision because he would last longer. And I was like, he didn't give me a medical reason. He gave me some sick reason. So I was like, no, like, and we fought about it so many times. Like, it was ridiculous, because I was like, stop talking about my son like that. And if you're not going to give me a medical reason, like, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, who the heck talks about their kid like that? Like, I have daughters, and I do not think about that. And I was like so grossed out, like ugh. And then when Sammy was like 2 weeks, I was breastfeeding, or like not 2 weeks, he was younger than that, because I wasn't producing enough milk. And when we were feeding him through a syringe, like I was so exhausted and I was the one pumping and stuff, so I let him feed Sam. And he made a comment like, oh, like that Sammy's a good sucker. And I was like, huh? Like I remember walking to the kitchen and he's talking and I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, like he's gonna make a girl really proud one day, and was laughing. And I was like, don't talk about my effing son like that, like that's disgusting. And he was like, or a man, whatever his preference is. And I was like, what did you just say? And I was like, stop talking like that, you're so gross. And I was like, ew. I can't remember where I left off, but I was like, stop talking about like my son like that. So in court that first day, I told her what he was saying, and she was like, about the like circumcision and circumcision, and her response was like, a lot of men say that it could be a religious thing. And I was like, yeah, but like look at the text messages that I'm showing you, and then I'm telling you what he's saying about his son. Like what the heck? So that really upset me too. Like she just was not trying to hear it, and everybody in the courtroom was like, because there were just random people there, like for their stuff, and they're like, and I was like, yeah, it was just horrible. But where did I leave off in the other video? So the cop let me go, and I ended up getting emergency custody of my son. And back in March, I was like panicking because he took my son. I was like not in the right state of mind, and he took my son to his mom's house, and they wouldn't give my son back. And that was the day that the situation happened with his sister. And that was her second time trying to have an altercation with me. So this second time I was like, if you're gonna defend him being a weirdo, like let's go. And anyways, so they showed her, even though they had already put it in the packet, they were trying to show her that so that I be like, oh well, look what she did. So I had to tell the judge, like, no, we are here because of these new things that happened to my son. So until there's an investigation on this, can we keep like supervised visits? We kept supervised visits. She ended up saying like, we're gonna do supervised visits, and he had to pay through an agency, and we started doing that. And that was like the end of July, maybe August. And then she recommended that we pay for an emergency screener. She did not want to waive the fee, so it was a total of $5,000. So he would pay $25,000 and I was paid $25,000. They were upset and they wanted her to waive it, and I was like, you know, I'm ready. Like, I'll pay that if I have to. And I was already broke and struggling, but I was like, you know, like anything for my son. And I was like, so they had her look it up for me, and they were gonna send me a list, and I was like, I'm not comfortable, can I find my own? And she was like, you know, these are licensed professionals, like there's no reason to not trust his lawyers, like nobody's gonna jeopardize their career for anything. As we know, like that's not true. So I didn't trust them, right? And she was like, she told me that, and I was like, whatever, like I'm not gonna look like make myself seem complicated. So I was like, okay, they can send me a list. So I had a certain time frame to go through that list. I contacted other people, and it was just so expensive. So I went with the cheapest one that I can find and the person that was the most available. And it was the biggest mistake that I could have ever made in choosing her, because she's the one that dictated the rest of how this ends, or currently like where I'm at right now with the whole situation. I ended up picking her, and I want to expose her so bad because I think she's such a freaking fraud, but I don't know if I can get in trouble for that, so I'm gonna hold off until I know for sure. But I sent her over everything. They sent her over their evidence, and in March, what they were using against me, they were saying that what I know that they were saying, because I just found something else out. So, like, the other day. So, at the time, they were trying to make it seem like I was upset that we were no longer together, and that I was being this way because he didn't want to be with me anymore. And that's, like, not even the problem, or the truth. And, so anyways, she didn't read any of my text messages. She tried to say because 2 of the emails were small and I sent her, like, I don't want to just give a number, but there was at least over 10 emails with the max capacity of as many attachments can be, and each one was labeled. And in there, when I say you did this to so-and-so at this age, and you were this age, and then this and this and this and that, like, I listed what I knew. He said, none of that has to do with my son. And I was like, yes, it does. It has everything to do with you being alone with your son. And she just, I guess, never read it. I don't really know, because she basically, in her report, she just says that, like, we're both complicated and we did things. So back in March, like, of 2023, they wouldn't give me my son, and I panicked and I rammed my car into his car. I went there. They knew I was on my way. I knocked on the door. They wouldn't open the door. They tried to say I kicked, but I knocked on the door. They didn't open the door. And I was like, you MFers are the last people that should be alone with my kid. Like, I don't trust you. I don't trust your mom. And I was like, if something happens to my son in his care with, like, at that house, I didn't think that his mom, based off of everything that was happening, I didn't think that she would tell me. I think that she would cover, and she would take it to her grave. Like, I don't even think she would let the stepmom know, but if they all knew as a collective, they would all lie, because at the time she was gonna leave she was gonna leave the stepmom, and she used me as a cover, mounting my TV to go and look at houses. So, and that lady does not want her to leave. So I just know that they'll cover, because there's other things that have happened and they cover. So if this is what his mom is feeling and this is what she's saying, they're going to take it to their grave. They're never going to tell me if my son gets hurt. They're not going to tell nobody. They're going to keep it to themselves and act like it's not happening, because this is what they're doing now. So I know that that's what would happen to my son. So I was like, they gave her that and showed her that evidence, and they gave her another video of me supposedly being, like, aggressive, and in the video you clearly see that I'm the victim. Like, his family, his sister, the one I had the altercation with, comes running out and asks her not to HIT me, and they're like, and then he gets in my car and they're like telling him to get out of my car, and then you hear me say, like, what he's doing, and then his sister gets upset and tries to fight me, and his mom was like, you don't know how to keep your mouth shut. And I'm on one side of the car, and on the other side of the car, he's telling her to mind her own business, like, what the hell is she doing, to go inside. And then she gets upset and was like, she says his name, and she's like, I was just trying to defend you. So when I listened to that video, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this whole time I thought maybe she didn't know everything, but to hear, like, because there were so many things going on at once, like, you're defending him, and then you're trying to tell people now, like, oh, it's because she hit the baby hit my brother's car with the baby inside. Girl, the whole reason why his car got hit is because he wouldn't give me the baby. So in hindsight, well, all this is going on and we're hiring Brenda, he goes and calls the cops and files a report that I did this. So he reported something 5 months later, and the next month, that's in August, and then I get an arrest warrant in September, and I had no knowledge that all of this was going on in the background. I'm just going through an emergency screener right now. So then I file for child support, and we go to that, and he says, like, he's not sure if this is his son, even though he already waived at the beginning of court, like family court, that this was his son. Like, he knew it was his son. He was there when the birth certificate was signed. So his lawyers are trying to do all this on me, and I'm telling her, like, you know, he stopped paying the rent, like, so his portion of the rent is not being paid. I'm not getting any help. He's not giving any money because he's not seeing his son. I'm paying for everything by myself. I have 2 other kids. I have a car payment. Like, I'm commuting. And I was like, you know, like all this stuff. And she like gets annoyed with him because he signed my birth certificate and he did sign that waiver. And then so she's like, okay, you need to do a paternity test. And I got upset, and I started crying, and I was like, what the heck? Like, this guy that is fighting me, making my life a nightmare, now he's saying that he's not the father. Like, what the heck? The cheater. And so then, and he started crying, and I was like, why are you crying? Like, you're the one saying this. So then we go to regular family court, and then I tell her what he's saying, and then she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay. So she was like, and I was like, you know, now I'm worried about my son's safety, because are these things happening to my son because he doesn't think that this is his son? And so she was like, okay, like, you are going to give up your custody of your son. You're saying that this isn't your son, so you can't see him. And he gets upset. And then she's like, I need you to understand. And then the lawyer was like trying to talk, and she was like trying to talk to him and was like, I need you to understand what you're about to do. And he was upset, and he agreed, and he gave me custody. And I was so mad. I was like, the ghetto, I gotta go freaking get swabbed. It still bothers me. I'm like, it's so ghetto. I know who my kid's dad. I'm not a cheater. So I'm like, whatever. I do everything that I'm supposed to. It comes back that he's 99.9% the dad. No figure. And
right.
I didn't really like believe in God. Like, I've had like this bad struggle where I'm like, is he real? Like, if he's real, why am I going through everything that I've gone through in my life? But I was struggling, and I would pray like every day before court, like, please help me, help the judge see the truth, and help me be able to articulate and calm me so that I can get through these. And his lawyers were really irritated with me because they would try to do stuff and it was like backfiring on them. But then it came time to, and now we're in October, and so he didn't see his son for like a month and a half maybe. And it comes time, and they're like, you know, I got the report, and I started crying, and her name's Brenda. I got Brenda's report, and she said that he was a victim, and that he's getting help, and that she doesn't see any threat, so that Samuel should go with him these days and these days and these days, and whatever. And so I'm upset, and I start questioning her. She says that there's no criminal charges pending on myself and on him, which turns out to be not true, right? We just said that I have that. So his people went into court and lied, because then nobody knows that I have a warrant. Even though we're in that county, they didn't know. So I'm showing up to court every week, and they don't even know that I have a warrant now. And they this is to show you guys how messed up and how I've fallen through every crack, that I was in there every week and they didn't know. And his lawyers played it. They knew because they told him to do this. He's paying all this money. Like, he has to know, you know. They have to know what he's doing because they're having him do it. So, you know, they're advising him what to do or whatever. So I start questioning her, like, yes, there is criminal charges pending. And then the judge, and I started telling her, like, did you question him about this? She says, no. And then I was like, did you, what happened? But she didn't wait for the doctors, like the CPS report and the doctors. She didn't get none of the reports. So that was her job. That's what we hired her to do, was to get the CPS reports and to get the doctor's reports and speak to people. All I did was forward over some of the documents that I had because I have Kaiser, so I was able to relay the information, like, from my internet. But she didn't talk to anybody. And I was so upset. Like, we paid $5,000, and like, for me, I paid $2,500, and you didn't do nothing. You're here. You're not supposed to be on my side. You're not supposed to be on the dad's side. You're supposed to be on my son's side, and you just failed him. You didn't do any of the things. I was so upset. And then we go to court the next day, and the judge asks her, are these things that the mother spoke about is true? She just keeps saying that he's a victim. That's it. And she was like, the judge got annoyed and was like, are the allegations that mother spoke of, are they true? And she's like, yes. But she didn't put it in her report. But she said this to the judge, and the judge was like, and she's like, but I don't, dad's getting help, and he understands the severity of, his past, and, he lives with his mom and stepmom, and they're going to ensure the son's safety and that he does the right thing. So I don't think there's, like, any immediate danger. Like, there's no reason for him not to be with his dad.
People who've been enabling this shit.
I start crying. And I'm like, are you serious? She got so many things wrong. She just said it's true. And then the judge was like, and I was like, I was upset. And the judge was like, well, she did her job. Like, that's what we hired her to do. And I was like, and she didn't do her job. So then I'm like low-key arguing with the judge, but like, trying to like watch what I say. But I'm emotional because I'm like, are you kidding me? He just admitted it. Like, they just admitted it. And this is what I've been coming for. You've been telling me, oh, they're just allegations, but he just admitted it. Then she says, like, well, you didn't submit the messages to me. And I was like, you told me to submit them to the screener. I submitted all of them like I was supposed to. I didn't know I had to show them to you as well. And I was like, I'm working with Nextdoor Solutions. And I was like, they are helping me gather it, and they're going to help me submit it. Because I wasn't by myself completely. I was working with an agency, like a DV agency. And I had an advocate that was helping me. And she was like, well, I didn't read them, so I don't know. And she was like, I'm going to allow your son to go back. My son did not know those people. So when he started to go back, first of all, I started crying. Then when it was time for him to go back, my son was having meltdowns because we had to have somebody else like do the drop off and the pickups. We could be there, but somebody needs to do the physical exchange. But he was so small that like he can't walk, and like, he's not an older kid. He was flipping out. He did not want to go with them. It was so traumatizing for me, and for him, he would freak out. It was so sad. It was very alarming. Like, I was like, how could the court system just do this? Like, how can they just, my son hasn't been there in months. He doesn't know those people because he's so little. And now he's just going over there like nothing. And then the supervised visits lady calls me, and she's like, the visit stopped because he wanted like a refund. And I was like, yeah, he's saying that he wasn't the dad. And she was like, yeah, like, I've never heard of somebody fighting for custody and then turn around and saying that they're not the dad. Like, and I guess he didn't get his refund. I don't know. But it's just so many things that are like, what the heck? And so then the worser things were getting for me, the more like I started to break down. And like, I started like, I was just so stressed out. And I was like, not at this time, even though he was the father, it took so long. That was in August that I filed. I didn't get any money till the end of December, and they were like, oh, like, it's okay, you're gonna get back pay. And I was like, my son needs diapers today. I need help with my kids today. Like, my daughter's dad, like, I'm thankful for him. He gets on my nerves too. Like, that's why we're not together. But like, he helped a lot, and he helped more than he should have, because Sam's not his kid. But he helped make sure that I was okay and that the girls were okay, even because I'm their mom. As you should, like, as a man. So I was, like, struggling mentally. I was not doing good. I got, like, super depressed, and I almost got fired from my job, and I did not care. And my manager was so mean to me. Like, my manager hated me. And I was going through so much. I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't want to work for this guy. And then people had it, like, my other managers were like, no, like, keep fighting, like, don't give up, like, this is how you provide for your kids. Like, I got to a dark place, and the darker it got, the more I kept sinking, and I didn't think like I could sink anymore. I kind of started leaning more towards God and asking for more help and to help me see him and hear him. So I realized that I missed some steps or some information. So the burn on his face, let's explain that. So what they told CPS, and what CPS told me at least, because, sometimes words get messed up along the way, is that they went to the beach, and that apparently he got burned from like an ash, and they don't really know because he didn't really make a big deal. They didn't notice until the next day. Excuse me, but what little baby doesn't cry from a burn? Because listen, girls, this is where we come in. How many times have we burned ourselves with a curler right here or right here, and it's a flat burn? This was a welt. Like, I have something here, and I don't know, like, I fell on rocks when I was a little kid, but it's like elevated, and it's a scar now, but it's elevated. My son had an elevated, like, it had like pus or whatever on top. And so if it was a burn, first of all, what is he doing that close to the fire? And why does he have just one aquí? Why isn't there more? So, and his mom and whoever else vouched that that's what happened. And I'm sure, you know, because they be lying, I don't even know anymore, because they be hiding everything. So that's what happened with that. That's what they told CPS. And that's what Brenda took their word for. So when she questioned them, since she didn't get no reports from CPS or speak to a doctor. But when I did take him to that doctor was mad at CPS, and she lit them a new one, because I went to this clinic in San Jose for like victims, and they work with kids, and like they give them like a full body like thing, make sure everything's okay. And they evaluated him, and that's when I can't even talk about that, because she talked about what happened to Sam's cut, and she yelled at CPS and was like, yeah, I don't want to cry right now, so I'm not gonna talk about that. Like, but basically that doctor was upset at CPS, and she was like, why didn't they come sooner? And then didn't go there until almost 2 weeks later after Sam's cut. So she was like, how am I supposed to value a cut that's 2 weeks old? CPS, get it together. So right before that, I had a lawyer, and I hired her. I thought she was all for me. I was like, yes, I have this woman. She's going to fight for me, like women power. Like, yes. Not the case. She went to court and didn't file my paperwork. And I didn't know that she didn't file my paperwork, okay? But she came back and was like, oh, like, I think you should just settle. Like, they have this video. Like, they have all these witnesses. His family that lies for him. And, maybe you should just really think about settling. And then I was like, no, I don't want to settle. I know what I did and I didn't do. And I'm not crazy. Like, they are so wrong for all of this. And she was like, well, and those comments that he made, like, he was just trying to be funny. Those comments are not funny, okay, lady? We fought 3 separate times for hella long. He was so fucking mad at me because I made a medical decision without him. Bro, I told him, I'm not doing it. You didn't give me a medical reason as to why I should do it. You're giving me some weird-ass reasons. I'm not doing it. And then I watched this documentary that said that really only people in the United States do this. And I didn't even watch that documentary when I was pregnant. My sister was pregnant. She watched it, and then she told me about it. So then I watched it. So it was like, I was already like, oh, when I have a son, I'm not going to do it. Like, who even cares about that? And so he was like so mad and saying all these ridiculous things. Like, girls are going to laugh at him. And I was like, I don't care. Fuck them girls. Like, girls are the devil. Like Baba Boucher's mom says, like, no. And he couldn't provide a good reason. And then the whole, like, Sam's a good sucker, like, he's gonna make a girl or a guy really proud one day, like, that's not funny. And we ended up in arguments, so that's not him trying to make me laugh. Like, that lady was so stupid. If she's watching this, like, you really failed me, okay? And so I had to get her off in order to file all this stuff, to get like emergency custody and all that. And then so back to him getting him back after Brenda decided that it was cool, even though she didn't do her job. She said it was like my birthday weekend, like right before, and November, and he came home with like lumps and bruises all over his head and like something in his ear. And I asked his dad what happened, and he said that he fell running. And at that time, my son was not running. Like, my son was barely learning how to walk. And like if I look at the videos at that time, like, there was no way my baby was running. And why does he have a cut inside his ear? Like, that's the weirdest place to have like scrapes and scratches. And then like there was like a lump like this big. And so I told his advocate, because Brenda did do something good and she got him an advocate, but then the advocate couldn't even meet him when she was supposed to because Sammy got piojos, okay? There's nobody that even goes to like elementary school, because normally elementary kids get stuff like that. There's nobody in elementary. Sammy has one little cousin that's 6 months older than him, and she's only 6 months older. So if he's 2, she's like about to be 3, right? So who the F gave them piojos in that grown house? they all got piojos. And so Sammy got piojos, so she couldn't meet him because he was infected. He was getting treatment. And I told her about the bumps and the bruises, and I told her if, because there was days split up, I was like, can we make them consecutive to where it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturdays? And then she was like, no, because if Sammy was getting hurt, that she didn't want him to go to consecutive days, because she wanted a break in between, so that if he got hurt, that I would know, since Samuel's dad, oh my god, I almost said his name, since Samuel's dad wasn't reporting it to me. So as of now, in a report, it's ordered that he tells me when he gets hurt, because the things that have happened are so off and he doesn't tell me. And I just think that he doesn't tell me because he doesn't think that he respects me as Sam's mom, as a woman. I don't think that he thinks that he feels like he needs to tell me anything, which is crazy. And part of the reason why is I think because he didn't have a good mother figure in his life. Like, he came from a broken family, and his mother was on drugs his whole life. She's only been clean for 5 years. So I feel like he's definitely taking it out on all of his relationships. And that's the biggest red flag, is that if a man disrespects his mother openly in front of you, out in public, in front of other people, and their fathers, like if they do it like so in such a harsh way, because not everybody gets along, but where it's like uncomfortably, that's a red flag. Run, okay? Because I should have ran. So so we go to court, and that morning I sent the judge to all the info, because we were just supposed to be like, oh, like we have a advocate for Sammy, like this is her, we're just supposed to do an introduction. Well, it just so happened, I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell the judge what just happened. I sent her pictures, CC'd his lawyer in it, and I sent the pictures, and I was like, I want to modify time, so I didn't want him to even go with him that many days anymore. Well, his advocate didn't show up, and it was a lady right before, like a minute before court. His lawyer, or they told me that she wasn't going to be there. So when I tried to introduce this to the judge, she was like, no. And I was like, I just sent you the pictures. Then she looks at the pictures and she's like, oh yeah, I see these scratches. And I was like, ma'am, those are not scratches, those are bruises. This judge and his lawyer probably were like, this girl is not giving up, because I was like, why are you calling them scratches when they're bruises? They're clearly bruises. Ma'am, you're looking right at them with no disrespect. And she was like, I'm not changing the visitation. Like, this is what it's staying. And I got that. That was the day that I think that was the day that I got kicked out of the courtroom. I was so mad. I left in tears. And I was like, how can you make my son go back there? And I was like, and she was like, we did a custody order with Brenda, and this is what Brenda said, and this is what I'm gonna do. And this is why I settled, because me and her got into it, and she was telling me like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I was like, okay, but how many things did Brenda get wrong in her report? And I was like, and the allegations that I've said are true, and you're still making him going back. He keeps getting hurt. How many times are you gonna allow my son to get hurt in your courtroom? Because this is the third time that my son is getting hurt in your courtroom, and it hasn't even been a year. How much more are you gonna allow? And she was like, you know, and she was trying to talk to me, and I kept talking to her, and she's like, if you're not, it doesn't sound like you want to hear me, so you know what, step out of the courtroom and you wait out there for your paperwork. And I was like, fine. And I like grabbed all my stuff, and I was slamming it like a child. Like, I'm surprised she didn't like yell at me, and like, you know, how judges usually can be, because I was so mad. And the advocate, like, where were you? And that lady had no idea what I was talking about. And so they were like, she was like, you know, I really can't say because I haven't reviewed the case. Like, thanks, Santa Clara, thanks. Because then it was like 2 weeks later, and he texted me that Sammy got hurt and there was like a scratch running down his face. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, the weirdest injuries, like a scratch down his face. Why? And my baby doesn't get hurt with me. I mean, like, now he does. He's like in terrible twos, and he does crazy things. But at that time, I was like, I don't understand why my son's getting... So then he got hurt again. And I like... That was the day I almost got fired. Well, I almost got suspended, which probably would have got me fired. I like had to leave work. I showed up hella late anyway, and then I was like crying, and like I left, and it was just like a mess. And I was just like, dude, like, why does this keep happening to my son? Like, and I was like asking God, like, why is this happening to me? And I feel like looking back, this is the biggest testimony now, because I literally was going through the most horrendous thing, and it was not ending, and I was not looking for any guidance. And then Christmas comes around, and like, you know, I'm trying to be there for my daughters. I was drinking a lot. Like, I worked at a casino, so I was just like drink a lot at the casino. And January came around, and we ended up settling. Oh, so then in December we did go back because he had the criminal case, but then in November he pleaded no contest so we could move forward with the family case. And then that's when his lawyer did mention that I had criminal charges, and I was like, no, I don't. Like, why are you saying that? And I was like, that's not true. And she was like, oh, I thought there was criminal charges. So that was like a big flag for me. Like, they did know, and they like acted like they didn't. And they still proceeded with like, they set the date for trial. But anytime you have trial, you have like a where you settle, like if anybody wants to settle. And at this point, I just didn't see, like, so many things had happened. The advocate, like I would tell her things, like she wouldn't respond. Like, I was just like, dude, like, there's nothing, they're not, like, I put all my cards out on the table. I told them everything about his marriage, everything that I knew, and they were still making my son go over there. So I just felt so defeated. And I've been going to therapy. I go every 2 weeks. Sometimes it's like every week, and then sometimes it's like every other week. It just depends, like, what's going on. Since things calm down, it's every other week, or like once every 3 weeks. It just depends. But shout out to her. But I was like, I'm just gonna settle. Like, I didn't see this changing. Like, I didn't see anything happening. And I was like, hopefully, I thought his family was like understanding. Like, I was kind of being dumb, and I know people are gonna backlash, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna settle and hope for the best and pray to God like something doesn't happen to my son, because that's what they're saying. So I really didn't know what I was gonna do. I was like confused, like fight. But then I was like, dude, I've done everything. Like, what the heck? And I ended up settling. And the lady, when we settled, she was like, and I was talking to her. She was like, well, yeah, I was reviewing your case and like reviewing some of your case. And the law is reactive, not proactive. So if nothing's happened to your son, like, there's really nothing we can do. And I was like, it's such the biggest slap in the face. Like, you guys, like, if I had text messages of somebody selling substance, you guys would go and do something about it. But because it's about this, like, they need victims to cooperate with them, or else it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say. Even though I have texts and he tells me what he's done in detail, it does not matter. It's very upsetting. But I was like, okay, so we settled, and basically, like, any free time that I have, I'm with my kids. Like, that's it. I go to work, and that's it. Like, I feel really guilty if I want to go somewhere and he has to go with his dad. It feels really guilty. I feel really guilty. And I just set it up to where I'm at work, so I don't feel guilty. But March, so we didn't settle, and like right when I settled, I had this gut feeling, like I thought I was crazy, and I was like, I shouldn't have settled. Like, something's not right. Wow, one day we were having like a conflict with like picking up and dropping off. His family didn't want to meet me, but it was my scheduled time, so I called the popo, and the popo ended up coming for me. And I was so confused. I was like, what do you mean I'm getting arrested? And it was like, I felt so disappointed in myself, because I was supposed to be picking up my daughters, and I was like, dude, my daughters have missed out on me. I'm not gonna cry. I've been fighting for my son so hard.
that I haven't been the mom that they need to. But I haven't been the mom that they need to. And I was like, God, like, I'm here for a reason. But on the way there, I was like, I can't go in there crying. Like, I need to man up. Like, they can't see me, like, crying. And I, like, didn't let my family bail me out. I was like, let's see if the judge lets me out on OR. And I was like, God, like, I worked so hard for my money, too. I was like, I don't want to pay for this bail when I know I'm going to get out. Like, I just knew. I was like, there's no way I'm going to stay here. And I didn't even know what I was there for. And I was like, God, like, I know what I did was wrong. And if I'm supposed to be here, like, even if it's for a little bit, like, I'll accept that. And I was like, but if it's not, like, please let me go home to my kids. And the judge let me out on a wire. I was so happy. I wanted in and out so bad, and I didn't get in and out. But I understood why he stopped paying my rent, because, when you have to, like, go in there, what they make you do, I was so mad. And I was like, this is why he probably is so mean to me now, because he had to go through this, like, he's probably so freaking pissed like I was. Like, I wanted nothing to do with him after that. I was like, who's going to do the drop-off and pickups, because I don't want to see that guy. So I get it, but I was like, like, I understood that I did something wrong. And the girls in there were like, I don't know why I'm here. And I'm like, girl, we're on the domestic violence floor. Like, we're going to that courtroom for DV, all of us. Like, we're here because we don't know how to control our emotions. And that person that texted me the other day trying to go off on me is so lucky that I'm a woman of God. And that's how I know I've changed, because I did not want to fight her. Because last time she talked to me dumb, I was like, where you at? Like, I'll pull up right now. This time I was just like, girl, don't talk to me like that. And then I blocked her. And I was like, I'm done. Because I'm learning to control my anger, and this is my story, and I'm not gonna let people make me feel bad for it. Like, I experienced this. People have been making me be quiet for a long time, and the only person that's paying for it is me and my son. We're the ones that are paying for it. And I just, like, prayed, and then I didn't get a lawyer. My public defenders were, like, so amazing, and they were, like, fighting for the right thing. But that month, I got let go of my job. My manager, like, had it out for me. Like, I was like a ticking time bomb. I'm surprised I lasted that long. And if you see this, you're a freaking jerk. I was going through the most horriblest time in my life, and I don't think he believed me. Like, he gave me such a hard time. It's, like, illegal, some of the things that he did. Like, wanting to look at my restraining order paperwork just so that I was able to switch my time is ridiculous. But somebody got to switch their time because they were starting baseball. That's ridiculous. I ended up losing that job, but I had another job. I had just started another job, so then I just, like, went full-time there. And honestly, it's been the best thing. I'm able to be a mom to my daughters. I have my son and my daughters all the time, so it's just a lot easier, like, not working nights anymore. So that was, like, a blessing in disguise. But, like, all those bills that he left me with, even though I had back pay, like, it caught up. Like, commuting, having a big car, having a car payment, insurance, like, I could not afford everything by myself with what he left me to deal with. And so then I started losing my hair. But that month, what actually started, I didn't realize that my hair was falling out until, like, a month later. I was like, oh yeah, no, like, my hair's been hella falling out. But my hair was falling out, like, dramatically, like, in clumps. Like, I remember thinking, like, what is going on? Like, or I'd be like, didn't I just, like, clean out my brush? Like, why is it full again? Or I'd be like, how long ago did I wash my hair? Like, why is so much hair coming out? Like, I wasn't really paying attention until I noticed a really, really big bald spot on the back of my head.
and it was so big that it scares my kids. Like, when they see it, they're like, oh, mommy. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, what if I get to wear wigs? Like, I just tell them that would be so cool to wear wigs all the time. Like, I could have different hair all the time. And they think I'm crazy.
Join the giveaway.
You know, because they're girls, so they're like, your hair. And I'm like, it's okay, it's just hair. Like, they're like my mom. I really think that they think I'm like, they're like, what the heck? Because I'm like, it's fine. Or like my eyebrows. I started losing my eyebrow hair as well. And they were like, Mom, your eyebrows. So I just shaved them. And they were like, what did you do? So I don't know. They're just like, what the heck is going on with my mom? But I lost my car that month. So literally in 1 week, I got arrested, lost my job. And the next month, like not even 3 weeks later, I lost my car. Maybe like a month. I lost my car. And my rent was going up. So I had moved from Union City to San Jose, and my apartment was super affordable because I got it a long time ago. And this apartment that I got was really, really nice, and it was not affordable by myself. And so I had to pick, and I'm very thankful for where I'm at now. It's really nice. It's brand new, and it's income based to help people like me in situations. I got a little beater car. I started going to court, and last week or the week before, on September 3rd, the DA answered my prayers. God answered my prayers, and they dropped my case because I had been going back, and we kept extending it. And it was weighing heavy on me because I did something wrong. Like, at the end of the day, regardless if you guys understand or the point that I'm trying to make, I did something illegal, like ramming in somebody's car. But like, I didn't just do it because he didn't throw out the trash, or he wanted to hang out with his friends, or because he was liking girls' pictures on Instagram. That was not the case. I was literally freaking out because I was like, even though I wasn't in the right headspace, I wanted my baby to go with my mom. Like, I was like, my son should not be with you guys. And I was like, please, like, God, you know my heart. And I couldn't get up there and be like, oh, well, like, he cheated on me, like, he was married, because unfortunately, like, that shit is so common. So I had to be honest with myself, and I was like, God, like, hear my heart, like, open their ears, like, please do the right thing. And they did. And I also want to point out that we were able to move forward with the family court case when I had criminal charges pending, and his lawyers knew, and that's against my rights. I haven't looked into it to like know what law they broke, but I'm pretty sure it's illegal what they did, because whatever happened in civil court could have been used against me in family court. It's not like he cooperated with the investigation with the criminal court, and so it's whatever. Like, no, it's not whatever, because that was ridiculous. Everything that he put me through was ridiculous. And I remember them telling me, like, we are not gonna let this go. Like, they really wanted to give me what they were gonna give me. And I broke down and started just crying. And like, I gave my situation to God. And it just felt so much peaceful to not be carrying it and to let it go. And look at what God has done for me. And I don't 100% know if me getting on here the way that I have and saying what's going on is approved. Like, if I didn't ask God to show me what I should do. I've always said since the beginning that I was never going to be quiet. When I told him a long time ago, if you fight me on this, I will tell everybody what I know about you. Just give me my son. And somebody told me that was almost selfish of me. That there were so many victims. And like, I didn't even think of that. Like, there's so many victims in this story. Young. There's some people that can't even talk about what he did
to them. And my heart hurts for them. But giving God this situation helped me tremendously. And I can't even explain how I feel. Like, reading the messages, like, this still doesn't feel sometimes like it's happening to me. Like, there's no way that everything I've been in life, and then I'm going through this. But on the other hand, I'm like, I'm so different now, for the better. Like, I fell in love with someone that was a monster. But, like, I've learned boundaries, and I'm, like, becoming a better mom. Like, because I'm becoming a better person. And when you become a better person, obviously you're going to become a better mom. And I was already working on myself, and this is like a whole nother level. And, you know, all the victims out there, like, I hope that you guys find your voice. I hope any victim out there finds their voice. And I hope that laws change to protect kids, because the judge telling me, like, the law is reactive, not proactive. Like, there needs to be guidelines for people like this that end up having kids, and, like, their kids are just forced back in their care, and their response is like, oh, well, that's their kid, like, they shouldn't do that. But yeah, wouldn't you think that about their cousin? Wouldn't you think that about their stepsister? Like, wouldn't you think that about, like, and it's not even like it's one gender. Like we couldn't even be like, oh, well, he does this to girls. Like, no, he does this to boys too. And, like, I thought he was a lot younger than what, because that's what he told me. But since I've talked to family members, like, this man was in high school doing this stuff. Like, I thought he was a kid doing this to kids. But he's not. He wasn't. And people, you know, are denying what he did. Like, his family members that choose to have him still in their life and protect him are belittling what he did, and it's sick. There just needs to be something done. And, you know, I just want to let anybody know that don't give up. And, like, doing these videos is, like, showing me too, like, to not give up. Like, something has to give, something will change, like. And I hope, like, it doesn't take a traumatic ass incident for things to change. And this is why I got on here and finally started sharing my story, is because the DA cleared me. If the DA really thought that I put my son in danger, there's nothing that anybody could do or say. They would remove him from me. If they had surveillance of me being inside the car, my son being in the car, me doing that, and it just wasn't true. And I thank God that they listened and did the right thing. Like, where was the justice in that? And a lot of people might not understand why I got on here and told my whole story and my son's story. But we don't know what these laws are like until we deal with them, and things need to freaking change.
Are you not gonna meet somewhere? Do you not want to do that anymore?
This is fucking bullshit what you're doing, man.
I'm not keeping him from you.
Bullshit. Yes, you are. This is fucking bullshit. Yeah, let me fucking go to my dad's, but my mom's not there enough. What the fuck sense does that make?
Because your dad thinks that there's an issue too, and your dad is worried for Sam.
Hey, my mom's not fucking saying there's none. My mom is, but she fucking trusts me that way. You ain't me.
Okay, that's the problem, is that she trusts that you wouldn't do anything, so she needs.
Because I know.
Okay, but I don't know that.
You don't even have the right to do this, Jasmine. You don't have sole custody.
I don't have full custody. I
I don't. And don't make it go there. You don't need to. I understand that you're upset. I understand. But you put me in a position where I don't trust you. You put me in a position with our son. It's always been a problem. That's why I've been going to therapy. It's always been a problem.
Always been a problem, but you're still letting me do it. How is it always still a problem?
It's always been a problem, Daniel. It's always been a worry of mine, and I keep finding out more and more. And as the months go on since that day that I found out about you, it has gotten worse. The amount of things that have happened are more and more. And it's brought me to the point where I'm not comfortable. And I'm telling you that I'm not comfortable. And I understand you're getting therapy.
What it do, everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ. Today we back with another lit video. We back in the confessional, and yes, we staying lit, big dog, man. Shout out to my everyday people who rock with me every day. Shout out to my player partner, Lucky Wizard Deals. He keeps it lit. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section, man. Make sure y'all hit the links down below. We got HiveMindLabs.com, where you can get your super fat burners and unbig that back. Okay, make sure y'all check out Opulence Scents. Okay, get your 3-wick candle, man. Buy the biggest candle, okay? The biggest one. Buy the biggest. Buy 2. Okay, use the links down below, man. Okay. Now let's get into it. What y'all think? Well, tell you what I think. I think this guy's freaking sick. I think his family's sick. Families will hide this stuff. You know what, man? It's crazy that family members can... Man, it's crazy. Family members can actually tolerate other family members who have these type of allegations. And I'm going to just tell you the reason why they do it is because the love of that person is still there. And it doesn't make it right. And it's kind of hard to separate the two. You know, just like, let's put it like this. We all know what R. Kelly did. I remember watching the videotape when I was in like high school, I believe. We got the videotape from the barbershop. My aunt did. She was like, "This the R. Kelly tape." We didn't sit there and watch it together. We actually snuck and watch it after, like we had to go in her room and watch it. So shout out to my aunt for shout out to my cousin D for breaking in the room, because he was known for that. We broke in the room and we watched the tape, and it was like, yeah, that's him. That's R. Kelly, and this is VHS tape. Well, R. Kelly went on to make hit after hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. We still enjoyed his music. And he still continued to bring in child after child after child. People continue to enable him. People continue to bring more victims around to him. Why? You know, I don't know. You know, it's like this, man. The courts really don't care what a person says about them. There's been times where my daughter's mom would make fake allegations towards the girl that I was with, her kids. And it'd be so crazy. I'd be like, why is she like making these false statements and coercing my child to do this on camera? And that used to piss me off. And I had a real anger problem. I used to be like, this lousy broad. And, you know, we was going to court and stuff through all that time. And, you know, she trying to bring this stuff up in court. I'm like, nah, y'all. I know y'all ain't going to believe this mess. So, of course, the judges didn't believe that crap. So it doesn't shock me that when a judge hears her story and they don't believe it, because, you know, but on my end, it just wasn't true. This, as I'm listening to this, I'm just like, wow. It's apparently she got stuff that, you know, text messages and stuff like this, and again, like I said, you could delete stuff out of a phone, but then it'll still be on the Apple Watch. So if you don't delete it out the Apple Watch, it's still gonna be in there. You know, I wouldn't know. I don't be deleting messages anymore, but I know that. So that's how she came across the messages, was in the Apple Watch. But so it doesn't shock me, but here's another shocker: is that, like, when I was going, I was in my little child custody hearing and stuff, and some of the stuff that I was going through, and I was telling the judge, and the judge wasn't trying to hear it, and I'm just like, yo, this person is doing this person doing that. They know they wasn't trying to hear it. They only wanted to see facts. And I'm like, this is a fact, because I was telling them, I was showing them, they was seeing different things. And then it came to a point where I was just like, man, forget this. I'm talking about 5 years of court. My judge was straight dirt ball trash. Judge Martha Oaks is a dirt bag, and I'm glad I didn't go back to see her, because I would have filed a straight grievance to get my get that judge to not see my case. Because at this point, I got the bread to pay for another judge, and I was about to do it if I would have got that judge, because that was the first thing I was willing to do, was pay for another judge, or to get that judge off my case, because I was like, she does not like black men, and I think she's a black lady, like she's Native American and black or something. She black, but I was like, hell no. So, and then, so luckily she's not a family court judge anymore. But, so shout out to my new judge, because when everything went down, she saw right through the crap, you know? And, so now, thankfully, I got full custody of my daughter. It is what it is. I mean, hey, your boy was telling the truth the whole time, but y'all don't want to hear it. But yeah, man, court sucks. Court sucks. And when you gotta go through it, the lawyer paying all the money, paying all the, you know, the supervised visitations. I'm like, man, you want me to pay supervised visitation? It's some other stuff that I don't care to disclose, because, you know, it's all old, and me and my kids' mama ain't on that stuff no more. But, like, yeah, it was wild back in the day. But then when I look back at it, I be like, you know, just like in her situation, neither one of them was doing right. So that's why she was getting caught up. But the thing was, you know, in my situation, it was only me getting caught up. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. I feel like I'm getting the worst end of it, and I ain't even the worst parent. I wasn't even, as a father, I wasn't even given the opportunity to be a father. They basically, in Oklahoma, they strip your rights as a father before you even given the opportunity to be a father. You understand what I'm saying? They want you to just, straight off the bat, no visitation, child support. Now you get a lawyer. And then you gotta fight for visitation. Then when you fight for visitation, then it's like, okay, well, you gotta do these parenting class. You gotta do this. And it's like, bruh, Do these women got to take parenting classes? When do they become a parenting? Because if man, I don't even want to talk about other people, but hey man, yeah, people just don't wake up as good parents. Over time, people do become good parents. They probably were dirtball bad at the beginning. In this case, he's just a dirtball bad person all around. He talking about he getting help. The parents, the whole family was, enabling his nonsense. So when I say that how do you expect this man to be a good parent and you see the stuff that his parents is putting up with and you be like, how does this work? How do you expect this person to be a good parent and they parents is enabling the bull crap? Brenda's ass should be fired. Brenda's crazy. Brenda was doing the most. And you pay for somebody to evaluate your situation and they just do you dirtball bad. And that happened to me. I had to pay for supervised visitations. I had to do the, 1 hour here, then 2 hours, then 4 hours, then we do an overnight stay and all that. And you just be like, man, what? Like, what is that? What does all this accomplish? You know what I'm saying? The whole course system is trash. It depends. Like, everybody's situation is different. Hers, on one hand, she's trying to protect her kid. Mine's is different because I'm just trying to be a father to mine. So, of course, everything is just going every which way, and people are, family course suck, especially when it's like, damn, this whole situation suck because I can't talk about a lot of stuff because yeah, but everybody understand what I'm saying. If y'all know what I'm talking about, then y'all know. Like, if y'all have situations like this in y'all family, y'all know. Y'all be like, damn, man, and the stuff I really want to say I can't, but that's just how it is. Just know, I feel what she talking about, and it just is what it is. But I listen, sister, I'm with you, but sometimes you gotta protect the people that you most love, and sometimes you just gotta keep your distance. And when it's situations like that, sometimes you can't even say nothing. Sometimes it's people that'll protect those type of people. You can't even say nothing, and then you just gotta be like, you just gotta know how to treat those people. But at the same time, I know where my kids won't be. You know what I'm saying? Because, and at the same time, I'll be worried about the same people that be around these people. Every day, I just be like, man, it break my heart, dog. It do. Everyday people, man. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. This later, peace.